It's called The Teaching of the Royal Child and the Curse of Jeconiah. What does that mean?
Well, this is part of getting to the mysteries as we approach the holiday season. I want to do some of them. In the last days of Judah, the southern kingdom, there was a king named Jeconiah, and a son of David, and he was evil, and judgment was coming in his time. And he actually set himself against Jeremiah the prophet, and the prophet warns him, but he ends up being taken to Babylon in judgment. And God gives a prophecy to Jeremiah and says this. He says, write this man down, this is talking about Jeconiah, as childless, a man who shall not prosper in his days, for none of his descendants shall prosper, sitting on the throne of David and ruling anymore in Judah. Now here's the royal line, but he's an evil man, but he's of the royal line of David. But God tells him after this he's going to be taken away. Your sons will not rule anymore on the throne of David. It's a curse, basically, on Jeconiah. Basically, the throne. These are the royal children, but they cannot rule on the throne anymore. So here's what happened now, is that later on you have a descendant of Jeconiah. When they come back, the judgment comes, then they come back to Israel, and they come back under Zerubbabel. Zerubbabel is a descendant of Jeconiah. Zerubbabel is a righteous man, but there's a curse there. He cannot be king. It should be King Zerubbabel. But there couldn't be, because it says your sons will not sit on that throne anymore. So Zerubbabel was a governor, but he was not king. Okay. So what happened to the royal line of David? Now we know Messiah has to be the royal line of David. But there's a curse on this line now. So what happens to the royal line? What happens to the heir to the throne? Well, they lose track of them. The one who's the heir to the throne is going to be the firstborn son of the firstborn son of the firstborn, unless there's a change, but it's going to go down. But they lose track about who it is. Centuries go by, and the house of David, the royal line, kind of goes underground. And you have powers coming up that reign over Israel, but not the royal line of David. And you have then the Romans come in and all that. Well, what happened to them? Well, what happened is they descended lower and lower and lower and lower. And now here's where we are. We come to a little hilltop, out of the way, no place city, and it's called Nitzeret. Poor people there, pretty much. There's one synagogue, pretty much. His families. It's an obscure place, and there's a poor man living there, and he's a technical man. His name is Joseph. He is the royal heir to the throne. God doesn't do things halfway. God does things exactly. Joseph, who nobody looks at, nobody really cares about, he's an obscure person, he's the true king of Israel. And yet he's living, because there is the curse of Jeconiah, he cannot sit on the throne. And so instead, he grows up poor, he grows up humble, he's a righteous man. And look at what the angel said to him. He said, he didn't just say Joseph, he said Joseph ben David, Joseph the son of David. Now he didn't have to say that. Angels aren't going to waste their words. And also, angels could have said, Joseph son of Martin, whoever your father was. Doesn't say that. Joseph, you're the son of David. He says he's waking him up. He's saying Joseph ben David, son of David. So here it is. I mean, imagine being in Nazareth, and this man is just living his daily life, working on building the wood. He's the true king of Israel, but who cannot sit on the throne of Israel. God does things exactly. Yet it says that of Messiah, he will sit on the throne of David. Unto us a child is born, a son is given. The government will be upon his shoulder, and the throne of David, he will be there. So here you have Joseph. Just get the picture. You're walking around, hey, that's Joseph, that's Joe. He's the true king. And yet he can't sit there, but he is the son of David. Son of David. So how is Messiah going to be born and to be able to be on the throne of David? Because on one hand, he needs the royal line, but he can't be of the curse. So what happens? Well, here's the thing. Because the prophecies say that Messiah will come and he will prosper on the throne of David. So how's it going to happen? It happens because on that same hilltop village is this little poor woman, teenager, named Miriam, or we know as Mary. Mary, is also a descendant of David. We know that because Luke focuses on Mary, and he has a different genealogy that comes from David. Joseph probably doesn't realize this until the angel says something, and he realizes, I'm chosen to do this. Mary certainly doesn't realize this. Mary is also a royal descendant of David. Except, if you look at the line in Luke, which at the end it says son of and counts Joseph, but you look at her line, it doesn't come through Solomon and Hezekiah, and doesn't come through Jeconiah. It comes through another son of David who was never cursed. It's another line that never had the curse on it.
Wow.
So God has here these two people. They have no idea what's going on. I mean, they love God. They're righteous, holy people. Joseph probably has to be one of the most righteous people ever to be descended in the throne of David. And yet they're living their lives, loving God, but not realizing they're poor people, not realizing it. And God causes the two of them, in a sense, it could be the only two in Israel, to fall in love or meet or have their parents say, yes, let's do it. And they are arranged to be married. Joseph is of the royal line, but has the curse. So what happens? How can you get around that? The virgin birth happens. Because of the virgin birth, there is no curse that goes through to the baby. At the same time, because Joseph is counted as the father, he is the Messiah. Jesus gets the royal line through Joseph that sat on the throne, but can't now. And yet through Mary gets the bloodline with no curse. He can sit on the throne.
Oh, man.
Only God could put that together.
Yes, that is.
Only God could put that.
Powerful. Oh, that's a mystery.
And God is so
sure.
perfect, and that's one. I mean, that's just touching on. It's one of the teachings in there in the album. But God is perfect. That's why you had to have a virgin birth, among other things. No curse, but to learn from something about that, because we all of us are born. There's a curse going on, not from David, but from Adam. Yet we were born in the image of God. That's royal. That is to be a royal life. That is. Yet there's a curse around us, so we grow up as this. We grow up poor. We grow up this, and then we fall into sin, and we're in sin, and all this. But when God redeems us, just like He did with Joseph, saying, "Hey, son of David, do you know who you are?" God says to us, in Messiah, we are to become royal again. And even though our circumstances could be this and this and this, what does a royal person do? They're not one who is ruled over; they rule over. What is a royal person? A royal child of God is one who is not ruled by their circumstances. They rule over their circumstances.
That's good.
They rule over it. Mm-hmm. They are in a world of curse. There are things like in their body, but they are not of the curse anymore. We are not of the curse anymore. We are of the blessing. So we overcome. So our adversity doesn't stop us from our calling or being royal or being blessed. You know, Mary and Joseph they led a royal life. They were holy. They were righteous. They didn't let their circumstances define them. They didn't let scandal define them. They were defined by God. They were royal.
Wow.
In fact, what it even means is a child of God, royal, means you don't let your emotions rule you. You rule your emotions.
That's good.
You rule your feelings. You don't let sin, it says, sin shall not rule you, shall not be master over you. You rule over your sin, over all these things. So therefore it says we are in the world, but we are not of it. I am not bound by this world. I'm in it, but I'm not bound by it. I am not overcome by it. But by Messiah, I overcome. Right. God has given us the power. Joseph was a secret king. Mary was a secret queen.
Wow.
We are secret princes and princes of God. But God gives us the power, even in a world of curses, to live not of the curse, but to live a royal, blessed life.
That is so beautiful.